Welcome to the fifth section in our series on vitamins, and this section is covering vitamin C. Now, we usually think of vitamin C as something that prevents colds, which it doesn't. We'll get to that. But vitamin C actually has a range of different functions, various functions. One of the main functions is the maintenance of connective tissue, and this is because it's involved in the formation of collagen. What's collagen? Collagen is a protein involved in most of the tissues in our body, and if you look down at your skin, what you're seeing there is collagen. I mean, of course, you can't actually see the collagen, but also in many other connective tissues, such as the tissues that surround muscles or they connect bone to bone, such as the ligaments. It's also involved. It's a cofactor in the production of carnitine. Now, you don't need to know exactly what carnitine is, but carnitine is involved in the transport of fatty acids into the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria are generally the workhorse for metabolism, energy metabolism, so it's essentially going to break down those fatty acids to give us energy. So it's a cofactor in the production of carnitine, which helps in transporting those fatty acids. Another popular, I should say, well-known function of vitamin C is as an antioxidant. And we do think of vitamin C as an antioxidant. It's the main other vitamin it works with is actually vitamin E, and it restores vitamin E to its active form. So vitamin C and E work together. Vitamin E needs vitamin C. So those two vitamins, C and E, work together as antioxidants. Vitamin C does support the immune system, so it does have an important function in immunity, and it does boost iron absorption. So what happens in deficiency? Well, in a true vitamin C deficiency, there is a condition called scurvy, and what this is a breakdown of connective tissue. And you can look at this picture here. You can see where there's these bleeding gums. So if you don't have vitamin C, you can't make collagen. Collagen is part of connective tissue, so that's going to be your gums and your skins and your intestinal lining. So if that can't be formed when it goes to changeovers, everything's constantly remodeling in your body. If there's not enough vitamin C there, you can't remake that tissue. So you end up bleeding gums, bleeding out, open sores, unable to heal. Now, this is only with a true deficiency, and you actually don't need that much vitamin C to prevent scurvy. And in fact, you may have read in your textbook the story of how the British got their names Limeys, and it was because they were going out on these long missions on boats, but they weren't bringing any fresh fruits or vegetables, or if they did, they wouldn't last, they would perish. So the sailors were developing open sores, bleeding sores, and someone had figured out that if you just use a little bit of lime, squeeze a little bit of lime, that it would prevent this condition. They didn't know what the condition was, and they didn't know it was vitamin C in the lime. But they did develop the name Limey from that practice. They started bringing big bags of limes because they would not perish for a long time. So it's only a little bit of vitamin C to help prevent this condition. Now, vitamin C is used a lot for the prevention of colds, and it's sold this way, it's marketed this way. I have people tell me, it's wintertime, oh, are you taking your vitamin C? And I always tell them no. Because vitamin C doesn't prevent colds. It is important that you have all of your nutrients at adequate amounts in order to protect yourself and to build up immunity to protect yourself from cold. So that is true, but that extra vitamin C hasn't been shown to prevent a cold. What it will do is actually reduce histamine. Histamine is a chemical that makes you itch. So whenever you have a mosquito bite, you're scratching, that's a histamine reaction. The vitamin C can reduce that, so it will decrease the symptoms associated with a cold. And I think some of the studies have shown that it can reduce the time frame of a cold maybe by a half day. It's not dramatic. They don't actually recommend that you take vitamin C in the winter because it's not going to do anything for you. Again, I do recommend that you have an abundance of fruits and vegetables to help you obtain adequate amounts of your nutrients, and that will help give you a better immunity and help prevent colds. But of course, everything is your choice. I just want you to be educated about your choice. As far as toxicity is concerned, I don't have a slide for this because vitamin C has not shown to be toxic from food, and there have even been studies with high-dose supplements where we really haven't seen a lot of toxicity with vitamin C. It usually just isn't, unless we have enough, it isn't absorbed. We're going to finish with some sources of vitamin C. I put the orange in the big picture here because that's what everybody thinks about vitamin C as a good source, but that's not the only source. You can get vitamin C from, it's going to be in small amounts in a lot of the fruits. I have strawberries and kiwis shown here, but most of your melons, cantaloupes, and papayas, you're also going to have that, are a good source of vitamin C. Red bell peppers. If you don't like citrus, you don't have to focus on this fruit to get enough vitamin C. All right, that's going to be all for this section on vitamin C.